Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mormon Atheist. All right, apostate congregation, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is a continuation of a series for all the newcomers that are coming in. This is episode 10, chapter 8, okay? And we are talking about William Morgan's book, Illustrations of Masonry. And we are comparing it to Mormonism and how the anti-Masonic movement relates to the anti-Mormon movement. How there's a crossover and how that crossover has pretty much been removed out of history, right? And so we are going to the literature and the books of the day contemporary to Joseph Smith, meaning the late 1700s to the when Joseph Smith dies. So literature that is written in that time frame, which includes the anti-Masonic movement, and that's how we came across this stuff as we were reading literature, and it led us here. And so, apostates, that's what we're doing. Those of you that are new to the channel, we are like I said, this is a series. This is going to be episode 10, chapter 8. Okay, so let's recap where we left off of the last episode. So the last episode, we ended on page 48. Okay, and we were talking about Solomon's temple and how it is situated to the north, to the east, to the south, to the west, all this kind of stuff. And I'm doing a terrible job right now at explaining this because this is episode 10, Apostate Congregation, okay? And we're like almost halfway done, okay? So here we go. We are continuing on page 49, like I said in the last episode. So we are continuing with the second or fellow craft degree apostates. Okay. Now we're going to get into these pictures here in a second. So hang tight. We'll get into it. Like I said in the last episode, from here on out, we are referring to the craft as the magic, okay? Because we had a very detailed explanation as to what the craft is in the previous episode, okay? The craft is the magic. So therefore, the craftsman, the fellow craftsman, the brother craftsman, these kinds of words, right? In the magic world, right? In the keys of Solomon, stuff like this, right? Ceremonial magic, in the testaments and treaties of Solomon, stuff like this. These would be referred to magicians. They would be referred to as magicians, okay? The fellow craftsman, all right? So let's get into the second or fellow craft degree. I got to take a drink of my mason jar of water. We're going straight to the electrolyte water today, apostates. Okay, let's go. We're on page 49, William Morgan's book, Illustrations of Masonry. Okay, this is the Kissinger Legacy reprints printed by David C. Miller. All right, let's go. I will now introduce the reader, okay? Once again, he's talking to me and you, okay? This is William Morgan. I will now introduce the reader to the second degree of Masonry. It is generally called passing, okay? Remember pay attention to these words, all right? As will be seen in the lecture, right? We already went through the lectures, and then we're going to get into more lectures, okay? Stay tuned. I shall omit the ceremonies, okay? I shall omit the ceremonies of opening and closing, as they are precisely the same as in the first degree, except 2 knocks are used in this degree. And the door is entered by the benefit of a password. It is, get your pencil and papers out, apostates, write this word down. Shibboleth. 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 That word's going to come back, okay? And later on in Southwick's book, in Bernard's book, these, remember what I said to you, congregation. These words matter, so you have to track these words. It will be explained in the lecture. The candidate, as before, is taken into the preparation room and prepared in the manner following. Okay, we're going to talk about the candidate right now. So when we talk about this type of stuff, I want you to keep your Mormon hats on. Those of you that have been through the temple ceremonies and these sorts of things, this kind of stuff is going to ring a bell for you. It's worded differently, but it's literally the same exact thing. Okay, it's just it's in 1827. You have to remember. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. All his clothing. Remember, I've never been married in the temple, so I don't know what that's like. So I am relying on you, congregation, to comment and let me know this stuff, and let the other people know that are watching as well, because there's a lot of people that have never been Mormon or don't know anything about Mormonism, right? That watch this channel, and so we're literally talking a foreign language to them. Okay, so your comments are very much appreciated, right? All his clothing taken off except his shirt, furnished with a pair of drawers, pants. Remember, we're 1820s here, language. His right breast bare, his left foot in a slipper. His right bare, a cable toe twice round his neck. Remember what the cable toe is, right? That's the rope is a cable toe. A cable toe twice round his neck, semi-hoodwinked, in which you remember hoodwinked, right? Hoodwinked is blindfolded, right? The guy's blindfolded, so that means, that's what we're calling hoodwinked. In which situation he is conducted to the door of the lodge, where he gives 2 knocks, when the senior deacon rises and says, "Worshipful, while we are peaceably at work on the 2nd degree of Masonry," okay, remember we're speculative Freemasonry, not Masonry. I don't want you to think of common day Masonry, okay? You got to wipe that stuff out of your head. We are keep in context the time frame here. The 1827, okay, the 1800s, the late 1700s. This is the era we're talking about, okay? Which situated and conducted to the door of the lodge, where he gives 2 knocks, when the senior deacon rises and says, "Worshipful, while we are peaceably at work on the 2nd degree of Masonry, under the influence of faith, hope, and charity," remember the jewels, right? "The door of the lodge is alarmed. Master to senior deacon, inquire the cause of the alarm. In many lodges, they come to the door, knock, are answered by the senior deacon, and come in without their being noticed by the senior warden or master. Okay? And come in without their being noticed by the senior warden or master. The senior deacon gives 2 raps on the inside of the door. The candidate gives 1 without. Outside the door, that's without, right? It is answered by the senior deacon with 1 rap. When the door is partially opened by the senior deacon, who inquires, who comes here? Who comes here? Okay, now we have a side note down here, a little footnote. All right, let's read the footnote and see what it says. Note, okay, this is in 1827. In modern lodges, both eyes are covered, and the cable toe is put round the naked right arm instead of round the neck. See cut. That's the picture right there. That picture is what we just described and the side note. Okay? So, apostates, this piece right here, for those of you following along, that picture right there goes with our last episode. Okay? If you remember the description on page 47 and 48, okay, that description is that picture right there. I showed that picture on the last episode as well, but I don't believe I ever actually said, like, this is the picture. So that's the picture right there. Okay, let's keep going. Page 50. The junior deacon who is or ought to be conductor answers. Okay, so follow along, apostates. A worthy brother who has been regularly initiated as an entered apprentice Mason, served a proper time as such. Okay, you have to serve your mission, right? You got to go on your mission. You got to get new recruits, right? We learned what the entered apprentice Mason's job was, right? Okay. And now wishes for further light in Masonry by being passed to the degree of fellow craft. Senior deacon to junior deacon. It is of his own free will and accord he makes this request. Answer. It is senior deacon to junior deacon. Is he duly and truly prepared? Answer. He is. Senior deacon to junior deacon. Is he worthy and well qualified? Answer. He is. Senior deacon to junior deacon. Has he made suitable proficiency in the preceding degree? Answer. He has. Okay, now we're going to get into a quotations here. Very few now any more than they did the night they were initiated have not heard their obligations repeated, nor one section of the lecture. And in fact, a very small portion of Masons ever learn either. Okay, that's a That's a side note from Morgan. Okay, these are the kinds of things that have been removed out of the William Morgan story. Is this kind of stuff, context? Okay. Senior deacon to junior deacon. By what further right? By what further rights does he expect to obtain his benefit? Answer: by the benefit of a password. Deacon, senior deacon to junior deacon. Has he a password? Answer: he has not, but I have it for him. Senior deacon to junior deacon. Give it to me. The junior deacon whispers in the senior deacon's ear. Shibboleth. Okay. The junior deacon whispers in the senior deacon's ear. Shibboleth. Now, I do know, okay, that women, when they get married in the temple, something like this happens. Like they're given a name or something, and uh, they have to tell it to their husband, or they like a name is whispered to them or something like this. Something along these lines. The higher person, right, at the temple, or whoever that is, right? I don't know. I've never done it, so I don't know. I'm relying on you, apostates. Your new names are whispered, if I'm not mistaken. And so this all like is like very like prevalent to that, right? And so that's one thing that I'm curious about, apostate congregation, is how this stuff correlates to the temple, and the ceremony, the various different ceremonies. The men, when you get your patriarchal, when you go through the process to be able to give the patriarchal blessings. I've never done any of this stuff, so I don't know. So this is where your comments come into play, right? Okay, the senior deacon says the pass is right. So he gave him the proper password, shibboleth. You have to understand what these words mean. These aren't just random like names. Okay, Google that name and look that name up and find out who that is, right? And where that name comes from and what is the importance of that name. Shibboleth. Okay, this stuff is not random. Okay. The senior deacon says, the pass is right. Since this is the case, you will wait till the worshipful master in the east is made acquainted with his request and his answer returned. The senior deacon then repairs. Okay, remember, we're seeing a pattern with this stuff. Okay, apprentice, junior deacon, right? We're starting to see a pattern with these things of, that the password is right, but now you have to wait a period of time. Okay, what does Joseph Smith have to do when he discovers the golden plates? He has to wait a period of time, right? So these things are like, you're seeing this pattern, right? And he has, like, so if you're paying attention to this, the entered apprentice and the junior deacon and the initiation process, right? Is they have to have the idea, right? They don't agree with what's taking place. So they're coming to this new thing, right? And then once they discover this new thing, they have to wait for a period of time. And then once that period of time is over, they get this revelation, they get this restoration. And they're introduced to this new literature, and they're introduced to these new themes, right? They're the next levels, right? And you'll even see it with the last one, right? We're only in the second degree right now. We still have one more to go. And you'll see this same pattern, right? And so these patterns is what I'm talking about on this channel, is what relates to Mormonism, are these patterns, okay? Not only is it the words and the ceremonies and all of this kind of stuff, but it's the patterns as well, right? You know, this entire thing is like a blueprint. You could just legit copy and paste the anti-Masonic literature, the William Morgan's book, and just copy and paste it right onto the Mormon story. And it's the exact same thing. It's just worded differently. That's all. That is the only difference, is it's worded differently, and it has progressed through time. And you know, this is 1827 language. So in the 1830s, we read this literature, congregation. You guys know this. The story changes. In 1840, the story changes. In 1850, the story changes. And it just continuously evolves. But the sentiment, this pattern is what never changes through the Mormon story, all the way up until today. It's legit the same fucking pattern. It's a blueprint. That William Morgan's book is a blueprint for Mormonism. It's 116 pages long. It's not finished. 2 years later, David Bernard's book. Oh, this is the wrong book. That's a History of Utah. David Bernard's book comes out. Okay, listen to the Mormon story. Joseph Smith, 116 pages is lost. He rewrites the book. What does David Bernard do? He rewrites the book. Okay, this book is 530 whatever pages long. How long is the Book of Mormon? Okay, the coincidences are so fucking striking. Do you understand me? I could literally take William Morgan's story, write down all of his attributes, everything, his wife, everything, and do the same exact thing with Joseph Smith and not put their names on the paper, and hand you both of those pieces of paper and say, tell me which one is who. And I promise you, you could not do it. You couldn't do it. That is how similar the Joseph Smith story and the William Morgan story are. Hands down, apostate congregation, you're reading this literature. Every book that we read, every single effing book we talk about on this channel has some kind of reference, has some sort of reference to William Morgan in it that is considered to be anti-Mormon literature. We've legit read hundreds of these books, congregation. Every effing one of them. So why? Why is William Morgan, why when you Google William Morgan, does all this LDS stuff come up? Why? Why does the church so steadfast in saying they have absolutely nothing to do with the anti-Masonic movement? They have nothing to do with William Morgan. But yet if you Google stuff and you legitimately have to say, do not use LDS sources when you use ChatGPT. You legit have to say those words. Do not use LDS sources or LDS affiliated sources. You have to effing say that. Why? That's my question, is why? Why? This is the only thing in history that is like that. Because if you don't specifically say to ChatGPT, do not use LDS sources when you are investigating the anti-Masonic movement or even the anti-Mormon literature, the anti-Mormon movement, you will get a completely different story and nothing but LDS sources. And that's it. That's all you get. You legit have to say, do not use LDS sources. Why, congregation? I do not know the answer to that question. I think, my opinion, is William Morgan is legit a blueprint for Joseph Smith. Because you got to remember Henry Smith. Remember Henry Smith. Don't forget Henry Smith. The Yakin and Boaz. Okay, he died. Well, why is the same exact guy, the same family, legit the same dates, the same names, the same colleges, the same towns, the same jobs? It's legitimately the same person. In John C. Bennett's book in 1842. But in this book, in 1827, he is the murderer of Morgan. Smith from Vermont. Do you understand me, apostate congregation? He legitimately says Smith from Vermont is the murderer of Morgan. Lodum Lawson is the kidnapper. And we're going to get into all of it. We're going to get into it. I'm going to show you their names. I'm going to read the fucking book. You cannot deny this stuff, apostate congregation. This is legit history. Smith from Vermont is the murderer of Morgan. John C. Bennett, in his book in 1842, has that same quote from this book, verbatim. I did a video on it already. But the only difference is it says Henry Smith from Vermont, and then it's a verbatim quote from Southwick's book. And there's like 8 of those in John C. Bennett's book. This is that code I'm talking about, apostate congregation. This stuff is no bullshit, man. It's fascinating when you get into it and you start seeing this stuff. It is so incredibly fascinating because you can't deny it. I mean, it's legitimately in the effing book, man. You can look it up for yourself and read it yourself. It's there. I'm not lying to you. Go watch my videos, right? Watch those videos and read those books. It's fascinating stuff. Apostate congregation, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are not monetized. We will never be monetized, this channel. So the only way you can help support this channel is by liking and subscribing, sharing, reading these books, telling your friends. I'm really more interested that you read the books. Okay, but in order to get this message out further, not being monetized severely hampers the algorithms. So we have our viewership is off the freaking charts for a channel that only has 500. I think as of right now, we have 563 subscribers, I think. with like 73,000 views, lifetime views. That's a F ton for only 563 subscribers. Okay, that is a F ton of views for. So I know you apostates are watching the channel, but you're not subscribing. I know a lot of you can't for whatever reasons, but those of you that can, please subscribe to the channel so we can get this message out more. Like the videos, hit the bell, comment, tell me your thoughts, everything, right? Hit the bell, comment, share the videos, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Let's keep going, apostates. Okay. You know, it would not be the Mormon atheist if I did not lose my place at least one time in the video. Okay. Excuse me. All right, apostates. Let's get going. Junior deacon, or I'm sorry, senior, or wait, we are way past that. Let's go down here. Okay, here we go. The junior deacon whispers in the senior deacon's ear, shibboleth. Look that word up. I've already said that. The senior deacon says, the pass is right. Since this is the case, you will wait till the worshipful master in the east is made acquainted with his request and his answer returned. The senior deacon then repairs to the master and gives 2 knocks at the door, which are answered by 2 knocks by the master. When the same questions are asked, the answers returned as at the door, after which the master says, since he comes with all these necessary qualifications, let him enter this worshipful lodge in the name of the Lord and take heed on what he enters. As he enters, the angle of the square is pressed hard against his naked right breast. Page 51. What's our time, congregation? Okay, we got time. In which time the senior deacon says, brother, when you entered this lodge the first time, you entered on the point of the compass. Remember, we're talking about the 5 points here, right? The 5 points of fellowship, okay? The pentagram, right? The seal of Solomon. On the point of the compass, pressing your naked left breast, which was then explained to you, you now enter it on the angle of the square, pressing your naked right breast, which is to teach you to act upon the square with all mankind, but more especially with the brethren. Okay, this is like you got it. Okay, so the candidate is then conducted twice regularly round the lodge and halted at the junior warden in the south, where he gives 2 raps and is answered by 2. Then the same questions are asked and answers returned as at the door. From thence he is conducted to the senior warden, where the same questions are asked and answers returned as before. He is then conducted to the master in the east, where the same questions are asked and answers returned as before. The master likewise demands of him from whence he came and whither he is traveling. His answers from the west and traveling to the east. The master asks, why do you leave the west and travel to the east? Answer, in search of more light. Okay, apostates, these themes, okay, these you know, these you know, these they're all throughout, right? We're in search for the light. We're, you know, right? So this is why it's important to follow along the people that are coming in new, right? Is a lot of this stuff, if you're coming in right now, you're like, well, what does that mean? Because when he says it was already explained to you, right? When you came in and the compass was pressed on your left breast, which was then explained to you, that's the entered apprentice. It's pressed on his left breast. Now he's coming into the second degree Mason and is being pressed on his right breast. Okay, which is, and that means, right, being pressed on the right breast. And so now when we get into the third degree, we're going to do this over again, right? But the wording changes. That's the only thing that is different, is the wording, right? And so you have to follow along, right, with this. This is why I keep saying you got to write this stuff down. Write it down as we go, because it's going to come up over and over again. And if you're not following along, you're going to get totally lost in the weeds, like right now. The newcomers are like, what does this even mean? What is he even talking about? What are you talking about? Okay, that's why it's so important. This is a series, so you got to follow along, right? We're on page 51. We're 10 episodes in, and you know, it's, this stuff gets heavy. It's gonna get even more heavy. So, like, you know, it just keeps building upon itself, right? And by doing that, you also get to see how the Mormon story builds upon itself. It just continuously builds, right? And then when we get to Southwick and when we get to Bernard, you know, it's a different, it's, you know, you see that continuation, that lineage. Okay, so here we go. Um, okay, the right breast, which is to teach you to act upon the square with all mankind. Okay, we already read all this. From thence he is conducted to the senior warden where the same questions are asked and answered. Okay, we already did all this. Okay. Answer, in search of light. Okay, go back and remember the book of Isaiah and the book of Revelation is your light. The master then says to the conductor, since this is the case, you will please conduct the candidate back to the west from whence he came and put him in care of the senior warden, who will teach him now to approach the east, the place of light. What rises, what is the star in the east, all this kind of stuff, right? The light, apostates, it's the light in the east, the star in the east, okay? By advancing upon two upright regular steps to the second step, his heel is in the hollow of the right foot on this degree. His heel is in the hollow of the right foot on this degree. his feet forming the right angle of an oblong square. Okay, so that sentence right there is in parentheses. Okay, so pay attention, because when you get parentheses stuff and quotations and stuff like that, it generally means something later. So let's remember this. His heel is in the hollow of the right foot on this degree. So let's just take a mental note of that. And this is Masonic, so this stuff is code. So you never know. You never know, apostates. It's in parentheses. So he's trying to tell us something. So that let's go with it. If nothing comes of it, then nothing comes of it. His feet forming the right angle of an oblong square, and his body erect in the altar, at the altar, before the worshipful master, and place him in a proper position to take the solemn oath or obligation of a fellow craft mason. Okay, you're at the altar. Like I can't express to you enough the magic. The master then leaves his seat and approaches the kneeling candidate. Here we have another quotation. Okay, here's the beginning of the quotation, and I will tell you where the quotation ends. So the beginning is, the candidate kneels on the right knee. The left, let's see. The wording is messed up. So the candidate kneels on the right knee, the left forming a square, his left arm as far as the elbow in a horizontal position, and the rest of the arm in a vertical position so as to form a square. His arms supported by the square, held under his elbow. Wow, that's complicated, right? Holy shit. Can you imagine? And says, brother, you are now placed in a proper position to take on you the solemn oath or obligation of a fellow craft mason, which I assure you as before is neither to affect your religion nor politics. If you are willing to take it, repeat your name and say after me. Page 52. I, AB, remember AB is you and me, right? That's your name. I, first and last name, of my own free will and accord, in the presence of Almighty God and this worshipful lodge of fellow craft masons, dedicated to God and held forth to the holy order of St. John. Okay, you got to follow these names, congregation, right? And remember what I said. Anytime you see the word Mason, Freemason, anything of the sort, free and what was the other word? Free and I forgot the other word. Free and something Masons. It'll come up again. And these words, right? You have to put speculative in front of that, because we are talking about speculative Freemasonry. And then you could even go a step further and go / Mormonism. Okay. Remember who baptized Joseph Smith. Okay. Remember who baptized Joseph Smith. Okay. And tell me that Masonry is not involved in Mormonism. Who baptized Joseph Smith? and Oliver Cowdery. I think Oliver Cowdery, yeah, Joseph Smith baptized Oliver Cowdery. I believe so, right? But I know for a fact John the Baptist baptized Joseph Smith. Right? Okay. Or it was either John the Baptist or Saint John. But that goes to my point right here. Remember, in the last video, in the Holy Order of Saint John, remember when I said there's two Johns? There's Saint John the Evangelist and Saint John the Baptist. And I told you before, sometimes they will only say Saint John. And generally speaking, they give you a Bible quote for the context of which one they're talking about. Okay. Well, here, they've already told us. Okay. And so it's the Holy Order of St. John, right? I actually don't remember which one that was. So we'll have to go back. Even I will have to go back and look and see who that was. So I don't remember which one that was. But anyways, my point is, it just says St. John. That's it. Okay. So this is why you have to know this stuff, or whenever you read St. John, you just think John the Baptist. Well, that's incorrect. That's not right. Or you think, we don't know which one that is. Right? So we have to go investigate, right? We can't just assume here. So there's some homework for us, is to find out who that is on page 52. So in the next episode, we'll bring that to you. The Holy Order of St. John, do hereby and hereon most solemnly and sincerely promise and swear, in addition to my former obligation, that I will not give the degree of a fellow craft mason to anyone of an inferior degree. Sounds a lot like Scientology. Nor to any other being in the known world, except it be to a true and lawful brother or brethren, fellow craft mason. Okay, these are the magicians, you understand, right? Within the body of a just and lawfully constituted lodge of such, and not unto him, nor unto them, whom I shall hear, so to be, but unto him and them only whom I shall find so to be, after strict trial and due examination or lawful information. Whew, that was a mouthful. All right. That takes a drink of water there. All right, what's our time, congregation? All right, we got a few minutes left. We could probably finish out this page. Okay, furthermore, we're on page 52. Furthermore, do I promise and swear that I will not wrong this lodge, nor a brother of this degree, to the value of 2 cents. Knowingly myself, nor suffer it to be done by others, if in my power, to prevent it. Furthermore, do I promise and swear that I will support the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of the United States. Okay, did you catch that? In my power to prevent it. Furthermore, I do promise and swear that I will support the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of the United States and the Grand Lodge of this state. Your allegiance is to the lodge. Your allegiance is to the church. Okay? That right there is why another reason why this movement took place, because their allegiance is not to the country. It's not to the Constitution of the United States. It's to the Grand Lodge of the United States, the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of the United States. That is why everybody is so uptight. What is Joseph Smith's entire MO? I don't even want to say Joseph Smith. I want to say the Mormon movement. What is the Mormon movement's entire MO? It's to gain political favor, right? They're constantly trying to get into politics. These people are constantly trying to get into politics. That's what the anti-Masonic movement later turns into, the political party of the anti-Masonic system, right? It starts out as a movement. Morgan, Southwick. Southwick is the curator of the political party, right? A lot of his speeches and the very first anti-Masonic convention, Solomon Southwick is the keynote speaker. And you can read his literature you can read his speech. Okay, so this stuff is no bullshit, apostate congregation. Like and subscribe to the channel. This is a warning. These books are warning us against this institution, this religious institution of Masonry. The Church of Masonry is what they call it. Me and you today call it the LDS Church. Okay? And these people are warning us. They're telling us, hey, you better stop this. And look at what it has become. Okay? We are William Morgan, apostate congregation. Under which this lodge, okay, so I promise and swear that I will support the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of the United States and the Grand Lodge of this state, under which this lodge is held, and conform to all the bylaws, rules, and regulations of this or any other lodge of which I may at any time hereafter become a member, right? Your loyalty is to the lodge, not the state, not the country, not the Constitution. That is what these people are warning you about. Okay? Remember, what was the 33rd Scottish Rite? What was their motto, right? What was their main motto, right? In the 1820s, right? To make you a Mason without you even knowing it, right? What is the motto of Mormonism? To make you a Mormon without you even knowing it, right? Look at how the Mormon church has just crept into everything. They're like a slow burning 200-year virus, and they're just creeping. And they're just slowly taking over. And everybody thinks they're completely stupid and silly, and oh, those silly Mormons, oh, that dumb religion, oh, Joseph Smith, that's such a dumb story. We don't believe in that shit. Oh, then stupid fucking Mormons. Okay, yes. But while you are thinking that, while you are doing that, while you believe that, behind the scenes, the church on low key is just creeping. They're in our government, they're in our politics, they're in our They're in everything. They are literally in everything, which is exactly what Solomon Southwick, William Morgan, David Bernard, the list effing goes on, is warning us about apostate congregation. Do you see that? Do you see that? Okay. This should everybody should be like, what the fuck? Wow, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, you never thought of it like that because you think them stupid fucking Mormons. That dumb Joseph Smith story, nobody believes that shit. I know. I know that's what you're thinking. But little did you know, the Mormon Church owns the whole fucking country. All the real estate, everything, man. Just Google it. Chat GBT. It's we should be worried. We should be very, very worried because the Mormon Church is literally like taking over this country, and they have been. Here is my evidence. Here is my evidence. This channel is evidence. Everything on this channel you can Google. You can Google legitimately every fucking thing on this channel. You can look it up. All of it. That is my evidence. Okay? And I've been giving you evidence for 2 solid years now. The difference here is now I'm legitimately reading the book. Okay? And letting you see for yourself. Because I know none of you are ever going to read this book. It's like $7. You can get it for like $7 online. It's a literal blueprint for Mormonism. It's actually pretty scary. It's actually pretty scary if you think about it on that kind of a level, right? That this church has legitimately been altering history for 200 years in a cover-up form, right? And this thing called Freemasonry that was created, I would almost argue that, I would argue that modern day Freemasonry was created to cover up the religious institution of Masonry. That's my honest opinion. I think modern day Freemasonry is a legit cover up for this institution. That's my honest opinion because they're telling you this stuff is made up. They're making this up as they go. This is a religious institution of Masonry that they are talking about here. There is no Freemasonry. There is no Freemasonry. There is no Freemasonry. These books are literally telling you operative Masonry is dead. There is no such thing as Freemasonry. This new thing that they are creating is called speculative Freemasonry. Okay? So it puts into question the entire historical value of Freemasonry. Because operative Masonry is dead. And they are extremely explicit about that. Like, there's no question. Operative Masonry, the Templar Masonry of old, is dead. Nobody knows anything about it. That's what they repeat over and over and over again. Nobody knows anything about it. They are recreating it. They are restoring it. This is what they call the restoration. Okay. So I don't know enough about modern day Freemasonry. I don't know anything about modern day Freemasonry. So I have no idea what that entails. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that you apostates can go down. But as far as modern day Freemasonry goes, I am the complete wrong person to ask. But as far as Freemasonry of the 1820s, okay, it's pretty effing hard to argue when you have the blueprint right here in front of your face. This is the legit blueprint. The Yakin and Boaz is the blueprint. Okay? They are creating this stuff. Okay? So, what is modern Freemasonry? What is it? Because everybody says this is Freemasonry. This is not Freemasonry. This is speculative. This is a religious institution of Masonry, is what they are warning you about. That's what this warning is about. That's what these books are about, is the religious institution of speculative Freemasonry. They are creating something new. Do you understand me? Is that resonating with you? Are you feeling that? Okay. And my evidence is the books. Here is the books. Read them for yourself. They say it, legit words over and over. How many times have we already done it in this book? How many times did we point that out with the language? We, them, our ancient Masons, right? The words matter, congregation. Okay, apostates, we are going to stop right there. I'll find my place here in a second. All right, so we're going to stop right there. Okay, so yes, these words matter. And please follow along, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So we are on page 52, where we are going to pick up on the next episode is on page 52, and we are going to start. Let's see, which I may become a member, and my brother, fellow craft from the body, constitute the laws. Okay. Furthermore, I promise and swear that I will obey all regular sign. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start right here on the next episode. We're gonna start on page 52, and I'm gonna read to you where we're gonna pick up on the next episode. Furthermore, do I promise, I swear that I will support the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of the United States and of the Grand Lodge of this state, under which this lodge is held, and conform to all the bylaws, rules, and regulations of this or any other lodge of which I may at any time hereafter become a member, as far as in my power. Furthermore, do I promise and swear that I will obey all the regular signs and summons given, handed, sent, or thrown to me by the hand of a brother, fellow craft Mason. That's where we're going to stop. And that's also where we're going to pick up at. So I will reread that, and then I will point out where we stopped and where we're going to pick up at. Okay, on page 52. Okay, congregation, I am so thoroughly surprised that you guys are watching these and following along and tuning in. You're turning on to the, William Morgan, dropping out of society with me for a while. As we read this stuff and go back, jump in our time machine, we go back to the 1820s. Apostates, it's time to jump off the time machine now, come back to reality. And in the words of the late, great Solomon Southwick, my man right here, the ashes of Morgan will rise again, apostates. And here we are. We are here to warn the world about the religious institution of Masonry called the LDS Church. They are taking over our government. They're taking over our politics. All right, let's go full Southwick, man. Let's go full Southwick. Right? They're infiltrating our government. They're infiltrating our politics. They're infiltrating our local businesses. They're, you name it, you already know. You people that live in Utah that are apostates, you fully understand what it's like and what Southwick is talking about. If anybody can relate to Solomon Southwick, it is the apostates that live in the state of Utah or Idaho, northern Arizona, western New Mexico, the surrounding states of Utah, right? Nevada. All right. You apostates are the ones that know exactly what Solomon Southwick is talking about. And William Morgan, you understand the repression, right? That's what they are talking about. Solomon Southwick is for the common man. He is all about the common man. Okay? He's for the farmer. He is for the farmer, right? Yeah, he is for the farmer. Read his book called The Plowboy. Plow is spelled Plough. Plough, The Plowboy. Read that. That's a common man book. That book is for the common man. And that book was written in like 1825, I think, something like that. Maybe 28. It might be 1828. And it's just a pamphlet. It's not even a book. It's a pamphlet. So it's like 35 pages long, I think. Okay, congregation, we are William Morgan. The ashes of Morgan will rise again. And here we are, apostate congregation. Here we are. We are William Morgan. Like and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. Word of mouth there is no better way than word of mouth. So tell your friends. Read the books. This channel is not monetized. It will never be monetized. I forgot to say the date today. Today's date is December 23rd, 2025. This is our second video today. We did one this morning. We're doing one tonight. And yeah, we're not monetized. So go, instead of donating to channels, super chats, go pay a kid's school lunch tab. Go buy a coat for a child. Go I don't know, go to help somebody, for no reason at all. That's the key here. Just do it for no reason at all. Don't expect nothing in return. Just for no reason. Go help somebody, Okay. Apostates, we are done, and we will see you on the other side.